Hello there, traders. Welcome to today's live stream. It's a brand new week. We are here. It is the US session. Let's get some energy in the room today. I'm feeling good today. Hopefully, we're going to have some good trading ideas, some good opportunities come our way. We've had some data drop as well, which we can go over. So yeah, really excited for this trading week. Had a somewhat okay trading week last week. Ended up coming in just over break even in the end. Performance could have been a little bit better, but fresh new week. We're going to get some new thoughts, new processes, new ideas coming from the markets. So yeah, looking forward to this one. So who've we got in? We've got Matt. Welcome. Afternoon to you. Hi to you as well, Bruce. Say hello in the chat. If you are new, say hello. Send some trade ideas in. We'll go have a look at some markets together. But yeah, also going to potentially look a little bit of COT data, some COT reports and things like that, which I could potentially bring to you in a little bit. Some markets to have a look at. But yeah, essentially, it's going to be looking at some big movers. It's a big dollar week as well, isn't it? Welcome, Jackson. Welcome. Bruce made 4% on your account last week. Awesome, Bruce. I'd love to hear that. Absolutely love to hear that. Love to hear everybody doing well. Right then, let's get into it. Let's bring up some. Sorry, I got distracted there a little bit then. Let's bring on some data. What I'll need to do is reshare the screen. There we go. Here we go. Right, cool. Right, we've got data on. That's brilliant. Right, so interesting data out today, actually. Really interesting data. We were looking at some CAD data coming up, and that's what we've had. We've had a CPI print coming out of Canada today, which came in at minus 0.1% over the 0.6%. And we've had a little bit of a decline in the median CPI year on year, come down to 2.6%. Trimmed CPI year on year, though, remained a little bit higher at that 2.9%, a little bit elevated right now. So interesting to see, although CPI month on month would be something that would be very welcomed, seeing that move to the downside. The year on year estimate is not doing that great. Okay. And this excludes volatile items, right? So this is the one that we really want to be focusing in on. And what the sort of analysis could be here in terms of what the central bank's looking for. We've had kind of two prints now at 2.9%. Obviously, they cut interest rates in the previous meeting by 25 basis points, and inflation has remained fairly static, right? We've 3 months now of 2.9%. Sorry, we were forecast to come in a little bit lower, and we didn't quite get that. So interesting data for CAD. Maybe seeing a little bit of CAD strength in the markets. Haven't actually had too much of a look at what CAD is actually doing right now, so we can have a look at that together in a moment. And let's have a look at the other data we've just had. We've just had retail sales month on month come through as well in the US, came in at 0%. Was expected to be minus 0.3%, but held above that zero area, well, at 0%. Forecast previous was 0.1%. So seeing a little bit of downside pressure in the retail sales, but not as much as what we were anticipating, right? Not as much as what everyone was expecting, which again is that kind of giving us a little bit of a story that maybe, although the consumer market and retailers are seeing a slowdown, it's not as aggressive as what was first thought. potentially. Now, there is obviously something really interesting as well. CME Fed Watch Tool at the minute pointing at a cut coming for the US in September. It's actually priced in at 100% chance of a cut, which means that that is a certainty. Really, the market is seeing it as a certainty that the Fed are going to cut rates in September, which is very interesting to me because inflation is nowhere near. Obviously, we'll get a couple more inflationary prints before we get to that meeting. But the inflation rate's nowhere near the 2% target, which the Fed continue to kind of talk about. So I'm very interested to see why the market is pricing in a 100% chance of a cut. Yes, core CPI came in a little bit lower. Yes, other data is not performing too well. Unemployment is on the rise, which would typically look for an environment that creates a rate cut. But we're not seeing that really roll over into the CPI. Although we had a lower print, still above 3%, still not heading towards that 2% target. They still need a print of minus 0.2% pretty much to stay in line with estimates. So the next CPI print in the US is going to be big. But yeah, we have CPI quarter on quarter coming up for Kiwi. Kiwi's underperforming at the moment. But let's go take a look at the currency strength meter, and we'll go over those. Just a quick couple of questions coming in. Thank you from Bruce. No worries. Matt, looking to buy the DAX at 18,500 level holds. Also, your view of the CAD fundamentally, John. Yep, no worries. And thank you to you as well, Jackson. So let's go through the currency strength meter then, because this, to me, is still one of the most important things we have to look at going into our trading weeks. We have to look at what currencies are getting stronger, what currencies are getting weaker, and then we try and trade them against each other, right? The reason why that is successful within the markets is because you're putting yourself more in a favor of a trendable move, right? A trending move. That being said, the markets that I'm looking at this week are these ones in here. So pound is still very much a currency that I like to be on the long side of. I like it against Kiwi very, very much. So if you're looking at longs this week, I like the idea of pound Kiwi. Pound US dollar, potentially, we could look for some opportunities to be long on pound US dollar. And then we've got things like Euro Kiwi as well, Euro US dollar, potentially Kiwi yen downside, and some dollar yen downside. Also, a little bit of dollar CAD as well, Kiwi CAD. But to me, this pound Kiwi, Euro Kiwi is definitely something that I like the idea of being short on. I actually should change this really, because I've not put Euro Kiwi on here for some reason. Looks like I've ignored all the Euro pairs. So Euro Kiwi is definitely meant to be on there and that should be bullish. Sorry. So we'll have to do this analysis together now and here you go. I'll be able to show you how I build the currency heat map. So yeah, strength and weakness suggesting Euro Kiwi should be bullish. So what I need to do is look at how the daily chart is flowing in with that. So let's just go do that right now, and I can do that for you live so we can have a little look at it. So let's go on to Euro Kiwi. All right, and this analysis I do over the weekend. For whatever reason, I've left that out. But the first things first is I come to the daily chart, right? So this is the daily chart setup. Let me just delete some of these off, and then you can see it a little bit better. So Euro Kiwi, all I'm looking for now is sort of momentum, right? So I'm looking to see if the market is finding in favor of that. So essentially what I'm looking at here is price above or below the 50 moving average, right? Keep it really simple. So if it is, I'll give it a blue marker, okay? Give it a blue marker because that's telling me that price is above the 50 moving average. Now, the momentum plus or minus is how price is above that 50 moving average now. Is it moving away from the 50 moving average, or is it moving towards the 50 moving average? If it was moving towards the 50 moving average, I'd be giving it a red icon here saying that it's not particularly ready to trade yet. But we're moving away, right? Price very, very aggressive to the upside, which is telling me that momentum is in the favor. Okay, so I give that a blue light as well. Now, one thing I like to add to it is the stochastic. I'm looking to see if the stochastic is bullish, and it is. You can see that we're above 80. We haven't really had any kind of crossovers here, but essentially, if price is above the 80 here, momentum is to the upside. That's what we've got. So I like the idea of seeing that momentum possibly continue. So that on there. And then we've got the daily trend. What is the daily trend doing? Well, I can see that the market is making higher highs and higher lows. So that is a bullish trend. And what phase are we in? Now, when I talk about phases and within trend, I'm looking at how price is in terms of in that sort of impulse leg, right? So I've got impulse leg here, impulse leg here. Is this an impulse leg? Yes, because we haven't had any kind of significant pullback in the market to create that secondary phase within the market, right? So this is why I think 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi is a good watch as well. I just haven't obviously updated the heat map. I must have just ignored euro on the weekend for whatever reason. Okay, and then yesterday we had a bullish close. So yeah, like the idea of being long 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi. Okay, 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi, I like the idea of being long on. Pound Kiwi, I also like the idea of being long on as well. So I've got a couple of ideas, and it kind of reminds me of the Kiwi CAD long that we had. Pound CAD long that we had last week. Really reminds me of that situation, because what we've had is a significant downtrend form, right? The market has been very bearish between the highs at the 1.81 down to the lows here at the 1.74 handle. Okay, we've had that nice bearish move. Now, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we're trading between those two levels quite nicely in a sort of range bound market. Okay, so the market is kind of trading between these two sort of areas. Can bring that down a little bit into that 181. So if we're in a range, right, we usually trade from the swing low to the swing high down to the swing low, right? That's what we like to do. So I'm looking to be a buyer of this market still until price comes up into a significant area of resistance, which could be this 181 handle, right? So that's going to be the level that I'm looking at for price to try and come and retest. Now, if I go down to that daily chart again and just open this up a little bit, we can see that the market has been trending down, and we've got multiple sort of areas of support and resistance. In terms of markets trended down, we've consolidated, price moved down again, and then we've just continued to move from here. So what that tells me is from this area here, there's probably some aggressive selling coming into the market, right, on 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi for some moves to the downside. So I'm looking to potentially be a buyer of this market, but I'm looking to be a buyer of some volume. So what I've done is, if I go from a swing low to a swing high, you'll see that there's volume being created within this zone. If I go to a 4-hour time frame as well, you'll be able to see this in a little bit more detail up in here, right? So essentially what I'm looking for is the fact that the market ignored it on the way up. And this is why it's very similar to the situation on pound CAD from last week. We had a situation on pound CAD where it just ignored volume, went through it. And if it does that, there's usually a good chance that price will come and test it on the other side before continuing to trade higher. And that's what I'm looking for here again. I'm looking for a very similar setup here on 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi, where if price comes into this area here, I'm looking for the idea to be long. Okay. So if I take that off, that's the sort of zone I'm working with. Now we can also add in a little bit more confluence to this. If we again just kind of look at where the market's been moving from, I can see that we've had consolidation in here, and then we had a bit of a minor step on this 4-hour chart. If we just kind of zoom in a little bit, you can see we had a bit of a sort of bearish close before price continued to trade higher as well. So again, another area of good confluence for opportunities to be a buyer. Okay. Good afternoon, Wizzy. Hope you're doing well. Does that make sense so far, guys? So very, very similar. So if we go just quickly over to pound CAD, it was a very similar long idea that we had, right? Let's just take all this off. And if we go to the daily chart and zoom out a little bit, let's actually go a little bit lower. pretty sure it was this area in here. Let me grab. This little area down through here. Yeah, it was this area, right? Very similar. Market moved to the downside. We highlighted the move down. And what we said was, if price ignores this volume area in here, it could act as support going in the other direction, okay? And that's exactly what happened. Price breached that zone, comes back in, retests it, market then drives back to the upside, okay? And that's what I'm looking for. Very, very similar. And I mean, we were talking about longs on pound CAD last week. And look at the move that we had in the end, from sort of swing low to swing high. We had a very significant move up. We had 329 pips so far from that area. So if you just looked at this one particular market, again, just using currency strength and weakness in your trading, look at that move you could have got on the back of, okay? Just using simple techniques, currency strength and weakness, gives you the chart to go and take a look at. Use simple support resistance techniques, as well as, you know, you could identify some changes of trend situations down in there as well. And yeah, market has moved very, very nicely to the upside here on pound CAD. But I've got a very similar feeling that we could have the similar approach here on Euro Kiwi. Price come and test in and around this zone for a continuation to the upside. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this week on Euro Kiwi. I'm going to be looking for a pullback, looking for an idea to come towards this 179 handle for then a continuation to trade to the upside, okay? Now, I will say I was meant to have a guest today, but he had something come up, so he couldn't join me again today. So that's unfortunate. So yeah, Euro Kiwi is looking pretty good. I'll go take a look at sort of pound Kiwi as well, because this is another market I feel is a good market to look at trading. It's just market is moved a substantial way at the moment. So I'm looking for some kind of development here, maybe some kind of pullback in the market, give us a little bit of something to be able to jump on. But I just like Kiwi shorts in general. So I'm going to be looking to try and short Kiwi across the board. I'm actually eyeing up a Aussie Kiwi long at the moment. So I'll keep you sort of updated on whether I take a position there or not. But we've had some good volume on Aussie Kiwi as well. But essentially, pound Kiwi, looking to see if we can continue to trade up into this 2.15 handle, looking for an ideas to trade into those types of levels. Now, have a look at the 4-hour time frame. You know, very difficult to try and get a move there. The reason being is because we're not really seeing any kind of sideways movement. This area in here would have been perfect. You know, that sort of area there, market breaks out, you know, and sometimes this is why I talk about trading the breakout sometimes rather than just trading the retest. Because if you are trading with markets that can be trend bound, you know, sometimes it doesn't come and get the retest that you want to get, and you're just going to have to get used to that. But that's why I would look at taking a position on the breakout, look for the move higher, and then look for another sort of retest if it does come, just to kind of get a better entry, tighter stop loss, essentially. But yeah, this market has continued to move higher. I did have an alert set around about 21.34s today. The reason being for that, if I just bring on the session breaks here, I was looking at yesterday's price action, and we can see that there was some volumes down towards these kind of lows through here. So I was trying to see if we could get a little bit towards those levels, you know, 21.34 10s and just below. We haven't had that. The market's kind of come back, retest, and we've started to just move higher again. So yeah, not really seeing that at the moment, but pound is obviously a very strong currency. So we might have to go look elsewhere, you know, maybe across towards pound CAD, maybe for a little bit of upside. You've got this nice little build up here coming in of this 30-minute chart as well. But yeah, like I said, Kiwi, I really like the look of. Kiwi CAD, I like the idea of being short on Kiwi CAD. Again, haven't managed to get on a short here at the moment. These markets are just kind of going without me at the minute. Just feels like I've not been able to get a good entry on either of those. But look, very, very sort of interesting as well. I like to look at the trend. I like to look at sort of markets that are developing. Kiwi CAD has been one of those for us that we liked downside on. Ultimately, our target for Kiwi CAD is down towards these types of areas through here. Our first sort of targets was down towards this zone, being around about the 82.45s and below. And then we have sort of larger volumes down towards this area at 81.50s. And I still like that. I still like the idea of price coming into these areas. So now we've got sort of what I would say a good setup in terms of you've got Kiwi CADs moving to the downside, lower lows, lower highs. Yesterday we had a nice bearish close, looking to see if the momentum continues here. So as long as we continue to get daily bearish closes now, we can start looking for sort of pullbacks in the market. Now, obviously, this would have been a sort of beautiful area to look at, perhaps even this consolidation in here where we had some volume coming in. Yeah, look at that sort of consolidation zone, break and retest of that for a continuation. So yeah, just unfortunately for me, I haven't managed to be able to sort of catch any move. That was on Friday, so wasn't necessarily on my radar then. But market's moving down nicely. We're coming into an area of previous support, so we might be able to see a pullback before price potentially breaks lower. So the way I'll be looking at this now, it's just on a daily basis. I'll be looking for areas of volume just to see where price could potentially come through to give us some kind of idea of what could happen next. Today I had a alert slightly higher, which was up here at 83.19. That was basically because it was this point of control area. But price hasn't come back. In really speaking, we kind of ranged in the sort of early Asia session, and the market's kind of tested that range and just continued to sort of break lower. So yeah, unfortunately for me, I haven't really got on the back of anything so far. That's why I'm kind of looking at Aussie Kiwi right now, because I want to try and take advantage of the New Zealand dollar weakness in the market. But also I want to be sort of sensible on what market we trade. Just to kind of touch upon Kiwi yen, yeah, expecting some downside in Kiwi yen as well. It's just, would I want to get short Kiwi yen at support right now? That's my only sort of thing. If you look at across the other Kiwi pairs, they're not really at levels of support just yet or resistance, whereas Kiwi yen is right in at these lows. So I'm just a little bit more cautious on being a seller right now into that level there. Although I do like this kind of breakout situation that could form. So cut a long story short, Aussie Kiwi, like the idea of being a buyer of Aussie Kiwi. If we come up to the weekly time frame, we've just breached this significant high. Last week, we're going above it again. Where's this market going to go to? Well, if we get a sort of complete breakout of this zone, then we could be seeing an Aussie Kiwi price that trades all the way back up into the 114 handles. So I like that. I like the idea of being a buyer of this market. So, and I've just had an alert go off. So basically, let me just break this down. Consolidation, right? Consolidation brings volume into the markets. We can prove that because we can go grab a volume profile tool and we can do this, right? Market can see that the volumes are being built within this area. So all I was looking at was how the price reacted to this type of zone in here, where we've got this kind of low volume sort of pocket before the volume picks back up. And we've had this really nice retest and then closed higher. So this is an hourly chart and the price has closed higher on the hourly chart. So I'm actually watching the 15-minute chart at the moment, because what I would like to see is price create a break in structure. So you can see we had a sort of high being formed in and around this area here. Market has broken that high. It's come back in and we're starting to see some buys again. So I quite like the idea of looking for a long on Aussie Kiwi now that we've kind of broken that structure. If I go to a 5-minute, you can see market breaks the structure here, comes back in. Where's it found support? It's found support on this previous area. If I just grab a minor volume profile tool, look at that point of control. Price is held above the point of control. Market could start to take off to the upside here. So I quite like this move. You know, buying below previous hourly candle close as well gives us a little bit of a sort of premium to that. So I'm going to look at how we could potentially get on the back of this. Stop loss is going to be interesting for this. I think we need to have a safe stop. I'm going to go in fairly light on that one just to see what my stop's looking like there. Okay, and I'll see if that can press higher a little bit. I like the idea of keeping my stop loss below these type of lows in here. The only other thing you could look at potentially is if you're getting long on a 5-minute time frame. Depends on obviously your spreads. You can have a tight stop loss, try and target in at that 111.40 up here. But that could be a good alternative to that potential move there. Also, you might want to look at trying to buy a little bit lower, but that there looks pretty decent to me after that rejection. If we go into sort of a 30-minute time frame, we'll just take this one off a second, and if I just kind of highlight sort of the price action that's been happening over the past sort of area within here. Let's go to an hourly time frame. This kind of recent rally is what I'm looking at. You can see volume started to kind of pick up below this area here. So, yeah, I quite like the idea of being on the long side of this. Fundamentally, I think it's a good play. Kiwi's weak at the minute, so I want to try and take advantage of that. The Australian dollar hasn't been the best in terms of recent performance, but the past few weeks it's been great. You know, we've been wanting to buy Aussie because of the fundamentals that the RBA could hike interest rates. Now, just some kind of contingencies to this. You know, 4-hour trend is bullish, so I like it. Market is still 4-hour trend bullish. For me, a close below these lows would be a no-go, right? If we get a close below these lows, market's probably going to want to try and fill low volume here, and we'll probably see price trade down towards the 1.1s. So, yeah. Happy that we've got a position trying to trade that Kiwi weakness, but just be aware as well, there is CPI data coming up overnight as well, just so you are aware of that. So maybe we'll hopefully be able to manage a position by the time that comes, or yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like the Kiwi weakness in the market, trying to take advantage of it. That's an area to potentially do that on, considering Euro Kiwi's not come back for me. But we could maybe look at a retest move, right? Because that there's a little consolidation. Again, a little volume will build up in there, and we've broken out. So I might look at a little retest on Euro Kiwi, because Euro Kiwi is the one that I really want. Matt, what was the target on Aussie Kiwi? Target on Aussie Kiwi, I would be looking up towards either, depending on how you took the trade. If you took the trade on this lower time frame move, then I'd be looking at the previous highs as my exit. If you're looking at it from a longer term point of view, so you're looking at sort of your daily chart with a breakout move, I'd be looking more towards the 113 handle. Anything up in there would be a decent target, I feel. And that's how I'm looking at it, right? I'm looking at it as this could be a good opportunity to try and swing trade this up into that level there. And that's what I'm kind of looking for. So that's my sort of trade there. But yeah, there's two options. It depends what type of trader you are. I'm looking to swing this at the minute, seeing if we can hold this volume, seeing if we can continue to trade higher. Just a shame I didn't manage to catch the initial area I wanted to get in. I wanted to get at 1.109, where my alert is. This charting is a little bit off of my pricing that I've got. 1.109. Either that or they haven't taken into consideration the sort of wick that we had. One spot 118, 1.116. Yeah, I've got a spike on my charts. So we shall see. We shall see. See if that one can continue to play out, or whether we get a decent opportunity to buy at a better position, right? Let's go flip over to the DAX. I think Matt was the DAX, wasn't it? You were looking at 18,500 level holds. Yep. 18,500. This little level that we've got in here right now. Yeah, this could be a little bit of a decent level. You know, I can see that. I quite like this run that we've had. Volume coming down towards these type of levels here, 18.46s, things like that. You've got low volume just coming in there. That's the nice little retest of that little pocket of volume, though. Nice little push away. Close back above the 50 MA on the 4-hour chart. Daily chart's bearish, though. Daily chart's bearish. If I'm looking for continuations and I'm day trading, I really want this to be. I want this to be a bullish close. I just prefer the idea of having that extra confluence there. But you could be looking at sort of breaks. Now you could be looking at some kind of break in terms of price has come back into this area of volume, starting to slow down here. We're starting to find some support at this point. So, you know, if price breaches these swing highs in here, then it gives us an opportunity to try and trade back to the upside, but perhaps up into that sort of 18.7s, 18.773s. What I don't want to do is get caught in a consolidation and then a boom break to the downside. That's why I like to wait to see if we get some kind of change in trend. Obviously, you can go early. You can go early because if you go, the lower you go, the more price action you're going to be able to get, the more price action you're going to be able to witness. That's chop to me. That is pure chop. So I would only be looking to try and buy this market on a break above 18.545, below a 50 MA. Everything's pointing a little bit more bearish to me right now on this particular move. But I like the higher time frame area of support. I'll just be watching for that kind of breakout situation. Let's go take a flick over to gold. Gold's starting to break a little bit higher now, which is nice. We've been talking about this for a while. Been talking about the fact that the commitment traders are not really selling this aggressively at the moment. So, you know, to me, the top in gold is not there right now. I feel like there's a good chance that this could continue to trade higher. Let me see if I can have a little look at some COT data and see if there's any kind of COT extremes going on at the moment. Okay, there's a short extreme on New Zealand dollar. I'm seeing a heavy long position on the Swiss franc at the moment, which is quite interesting considering the Swiss National Bank were looking for declines, looking for a weaker Swiss franc, and they were obviously talking about cutting interest rates as well. Let's have a look. Where's gold? Gold. Okay. What's the change in gold? Non-commercials change in gold 25%, longs 22%. Commercials changes is only 6% short at the moment for gold. So I'm not really thinking there's going to be like a top right now in those gold prices. Let's have a look. We are at an 18-month extreme, though. Very, very close to the extreme that we were talking about previously on gold. See if I can squeeze in a little bit more data. And this is basically what I'm looking at. Sorry, I'll bring it down to you guys. So this is a gold index of 36 months, right? And what we've been talking about and what we've been looking at is how the commercials are positioned. So these are the commercials. You see this red line here, that is the amount of short contracts, okay? And then you've got the green line, which is the amount of long contracts. And then you've got the sort of net line, which is that sort of blue line, right? Now, the net is below zero, obviously, because price is moving higher, right? So the commercials are going to sell more as price gets higher, but they're just not selling at levels which would really make me think that there's a market top. I just think that the market is still in a position that it could continue to trade higher. If we look at where we've had those type of very significant short positions in the past, you know, I'm looking here, right? Looking right there. So you've got short contracts up over 440k. We've had significant downside in gold off the back of that, right? In that sort of $2,000 level, the market moved lower. And if we look at where the short contracts are positioned right now, they're not near that. They're not near that. So I'm still fairly confident. I mean, if we change this to the 18-month COM index, then you can see that it's giving us a sell signal essentially on that. But I don't see that right now. Without the contracts being up at an extreme point, I don't see the sells coming in right now. I mean, if we look at the last 18-month compared to the chart, if I just zoom in a little bit on the weekly chart here, you know, had a sell signal here from an 18-month sell signal, and we just went sideways. Price just went sideways for those few weeks. So yeah, I don't see this being a sell signal, to be honest. The fact that we're not up at these extremes, this would be a big sell signal for me. If the contracts match the short contracts that were here, where we had a large sell-off, that would be where I'd be considering getting short, right? And we haven't had that. We haven't had that. So still like gold longs. It's just how do you get positioned in this from a trading point of view? You probably just got to have to look at a really low short-term pullback into key areas of support and resistance. From a 4-hour perspective, we're just trading higher at the moment daily. I mean, you probably need some kind of correction in order for us to want to get long again on gold. But at the moment, we're not really seeing that. You can see we're just in and around this zone now. So I don't really want to be buying at highs. You know, it doesn't make me want to buy that at all. You know, I'd rather be a seller from highs. Does that make me think that price is going to do that? Absolutely not. But I don't want to be putting risk here. If price breaks out, great. You know, I think we're going to trade much higher on gold. So that's something to consider. Silver, interestingly enough, though, we are coming into this little bit of a support level, right? Silver's been sort of an interesting market to trade if you're looking for opportunities to maybe be on the sort of side of commodities, you know, with that kind of gold play. Silver's been a really interesting market. Like I said, we've been very bullish silver this year. So that's worked out really nicely. We're starting to consolidate a little bit more now. Market had a really nice move last week or the week prior. And then we've just kind of gone sideways a little bit. Now, what's interesting here, though, is we had volume down at this level, down into sort of the 30 spot 40s. We've rebounded from that, and we're just holding above that. So really speaking, if you're looking for an opportunity out there, look at this silver buildup, right? Buildup of accumulation. If we break the accumulation on silver to the upside, then I think that $32 target that we had is something to consider, which were these highs that formed back in May. So yeah, that's also something I'd be fairly interested in if it were to kind of come about to kind of do that. So yeah, that's sitting on my hands for a little bit with that. Yeah, makes sense, Matt. Makes sense. Let's go take a look at some other markets. Oil market's been really hit today, down 1.6%. Market's really down. I thought we'd find some support down at this 81 area, and we found some slight support there, but the market has completely turned that over, trading lower now. So that's quite an interesting sight to see. Nat gas continuing to move a little bit lower, down towards that kind of 2 level as well, which is again very interesting. Didn't really expect those to be doing that, but there we are. Price is moving. Really speaking, though, we want to be looking towards our sort of pound pairs. Really, pound has been a very strong market. Pound Swissy, I quite like the idea of. Although, like I said, I just saw the Swiss franc has got a significant long signal, which is interesting to see. Because one market I thought we could probably look to take a little bit advantage of is Swiss yen. Swiss yen, obviously, very, very bullish market. You know, if we look back, very strong trending moves on this market. Last week was the first sort of down week we've had for a while on Swiss yen. That was obviously the Bank of Japan intervention. And I'm looking to see, was there any kind of further downside to this? Obviously, we've had the Swiss National Bank come out, want to cut interest rates. We've got, I think we had some Swiss data this week. Let me have a quick flick over to that. I want to say it was Swiss CPI, unless that's coming up next week. Let me filter this. Apply filter. This month. So on the, sorry, we had CPI in Switzerland on the 4th of July. And that came in at 0% below previous 0.3%. So they would be fairly happy. You know, we've got no more Swiss data coming up for the end of the month, but that could be a good sign for the Swiss franc that we are going to see that little bit of weakness coming in. Now, again, if we've got the Japanese yen potential, we've had the intervention, but potential downside plays off the back of this could bring prices down into more favorable levels of support. You know, if we're looking at it overall on this sort of weekly chart, you want to be looking to be sort of down in towards these kind of 171s if you really wanted to be a strong buyer of this market again. I would say, you know, we do have a little bit of support coming in towards the 175s as well. But this level down here would really interest me. That's a long way away. Long way away. It's not saying that price can't make it, but there's a good chance that we're probably not going to get there. This 175 looks a little bit more favorable of a move. You know, obviously less market moves to be had. But yeah, the market kind of found that little bit of resistance here right now. So if we break lower, that 175 could be a good area to start being a buyer again. I think it's going to be interesting with the Bank of Japan. You know, what if, let's say, retail sales in the US this week come out a little bit under pressure? I might say retail sales. We already had retail sales. I would have thought that if that retail sales data came in significantly lower, then it would have put some more downside pressure on dollar yen. Could even put a little bit more downside pressure on yen in terms of yen strength, because Bank of Japan might have used it as a good reason to jump on the back of it again. But I think we'll probably recover this. I've got a feeling we'll recover this. Bank of Japan aren't really doing anything about rates, and I think the market might try and call its bluff. So I think if we do get that 157, we came very close to 157 last week. If we did get 157, I'd be very interested in looking for some ideas around those kind of levels as well. So I'm quite interested in a market like that. But we'll see. We'll see what we get this week. It's going to be very interesting anyway. John, we have a look at Bitcoin. Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. Yeah, no problem. Actually, just did a quick video on Bitcoin on the shorts. If you've checked that out already, Bitcoin obviously rallied. I mean, our guest today would have been perfect to go over this. Crypto trader would have talked a lot about Bitcoin today, but he'll have to join me next week, I think now. But look at this move, and that's all come really from the fact that Donald Trump's gone up in the polls, right? Donald Trump's gone up in the polls. He's endorsed cryptocurrency. He has now kind of turned back on what he said previously when it comes to cryptos, and has now been very bullish on them, or at least saying that they're not going to rain on their parade, essentially. Whereas the Biden administration's been very much against cryptocurrency, whereas it's been the opposite for Trump. I think he's obviously done it for reasons of trying to get the younger vote, right? I think he's done it with a purpose. He's done it to get that younger vote. But market's loving it. You know, the assassination attempt failed. He went up in the polls and market moved higher. You know, simple as that. Market is favouring this kind of Donald Trump. Now, it's a shame, really, because we missed out on a nice little long there. I really like the idea of price coming into that 52k handle for a long idea. Just missed out on it, unfortunately. Still got my alert there. You know, I was looking in this kind of zone here for the idea to be long on it. Market has just taken off. But look at this now. There's potential for a head and shoulders play here. I think if you're looking at the Bitcoin longs, probably back down towards sort of 59k could be a nice level to work with on a move back to the upside here, with potentials to go and target up in these zones there, 72k, 73k's. So yeah, quite like the idea of price doing that. I'm going to move this alert up. I'm going to move it up to that area there. See if price can kind of fill this little gap that I've got on these charts, and then see if we can get a little bit of a move higher. How this will affect other cryptos, I'm not sure. I haven't really had any on here. Let's have a little look. Let's look at Cardano. Let's see if that has done any better. ADA started to have a little bit of a move higher. Quite interested in Cardano. We can take a look at, obviously, Ethereum. Again, Ethereum's doing pretty well as well off the back of this. So yeah, crypto in general, but obviously the one you want to be really looking at is Bitcoin. If Bitcoin outperforms, then the altcoins can start doing really well as well. It's not really a market that I tend to look too much into. You know, I know a little bit about it, but I wouldn't say I'm a pro on cryptocurrency at all. Mainly because I don't see its value that much. However, I think if it gets regulated, you'll see some significant upside in cryptos in general. And I think that's the play that you could use. If price dips significantly, I'd probably load up a little bit on it, just in case Trump gets in and Trump brings about some type of regulation, and kind of goes against everything that cryptocurrency stand for. So whether the crypto community would like that, I don't know. But I think if it does come in, then there'll be some significant upside in the markets. Okay then, guys. I'm going for about 50 minutes. I'm probably going to leave it there. leave you with the picture of the dollar index at 104s, which is something I like the idea of seeing a little bit of reversals from. You know, if you take a look at euro dollar just back up in these highs, essentially could see a little bit of downside from those moves in there. Quite like that little zone. Adding a little alert on that. But yeah, essentially looking for some dollar recovery from the downside that we've had recently. I think what would be interesting to see if this 104 holds, or if we breach 104s and end back up at the 102.50s. We've got to remember that this market is just trading in an overall range. We could see US dollars all the way back into 101s. Perhaps 99.75s. If we do start to really see this pricing in of rate cuts coming, then the dollar should weaken. The dollar should weaken, and we should see breaches of 104s and things like that. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, see if we can get any kind of opportunities from it. So at the moment, though, we're at support. Don't really like selling at support. I want to wait for a price to come back a bit before looking to get on that. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for everybody that joined. Like I said, I really like Kiwi weakness in the market, so that's something I'm going to be keeping my eye on going forward. Going to be looking at essentially these type of markets. We're going to be looking at sort of euro Kiwi, pound Kiwi, longs, quite like those. And then yeah, looking at sort of still trying to either look for some reversal plays just on the short term on euro dollar and pound US dollar. But ultimately, those markets are fairly bullish. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Sorry we didn't get our guest, but hopefully he'll jump on next week and we'll go over some markets in detail as well. And until then, I will catch you on Thursday. So speak to you then, guys. Cheers.